Hello everybody, this is AK. I'm back. So I know that some of you are waiting for Evening with AK and Friends 2024, right? And we had one last year in May, right? Evening with AK and Friends 2023. And unfortunately, it looks increasingly unlikely that we are going to have a session this year, right? With all the things that happened in my life recently, and also before the end of the year, it's a bit hard to book a venue before the year ends, right? So maybe we'll have an Evening with AK and Friends 2025. Let's see what happens. Crossing fingers, but and it has something to do with the venue being very hotly contested. I don't know why. I suppose the pandemic is behind us, and there are many more in-person events, right, happening right now. So but as a kind of a compensation, you can think of it as compensation. There will be a video coming up next week where I will be appearing in person, as it's not just a disembodied voice like you get in my videos, right? Because I just did a recording with my friends at the Fifth Person, and that video should be going live sometime next week, or let's hope nothing happens along the way and it gets pushed back by another week. It should go live next week if nothing goes wrong, so you can look forward to that. I know it's not the same as Evening with AK and Friends, because you can't take photo with AK, right? Like we always do in Evening with AK and Friends, but think of it as a compensation, right? So look out for that. In this video, apart from this, I want to share with you what a reader asked me. It's a young reader who said that he's somewhat risk averse, right? So, and my approach towards investing resonates with him, and then he asked me if I could make a video on the basics of investing for beginners, like what funds or stocks, fraction shares, banks, REITs, S&P 500 dividends, etc. might be suitable for risk-averse newbies like him, right? Young investor but risk-averse. And we are quite familiar with some of the chatter in the market, and that is, if you are young, you should take risk and learn to grow your wealth faster. But of course, not everyone is comfortable with taking risks. There are young people who don't like taking risks as well. So some young investors say, I might be young, but I invest like an old person. Of course, when it comes to questions like this, usually I sidestep because I don't want to give advice. I cannot give advice, and I don't want to give advice. The responsibility just scares me anyway. And I've passed on the topic to my friends at the Fifth Person, and maybe they will have a video on that, right? I'm not sure, but let's see what happens. What I said was, I don't know everything. I'm only talking to myself about what I do and what has worked for me, right? So readers and viewers who have been following me would know that, right? I'm just talking to myself about what has worked for me and what I am doing on a personal basis. And I would like to remind people that I have my own set of circumstances, I have my own beliefs, and my strategy suits me, right? So whether it suits you or not, that's your call to make, right? Don't ride on someone else's coattails and think that that is the perfect plan for everybody, including yourself, right? And I pointed the reader to my blog because I have been blogging for 15 years. And if you are interested, you can go to the web version of my blog, and read all my past blog posts, especially those which I have provided links for in the right and the left sidebars of my blog. Those links would be good places to start, right? Of course, now if you use your mobile phone and you go in and you get the mobile version of my blog, and that version is missing the sidebars. So if you scroll right to the bottom of the blog on your phone, there is a little link that says go to the web version or something. You click on that and you go to the web version of my blog, which is more information rich. Right, has a lot more going on there, but some people say it's messy. Well, maybe it does look a bit messy. Yeah, so in the meantime, today the Fed has announced a 0.5% rate cut, which is more than what many expected. Many expected 0.25% rate cut, right? So that is going to have an impact on bond yields, and that's going to have an impact on T-bills, and you can expect the yields to be lower, and people might be wondering, oh, what now? And then this goes back to one of my old favorite topics, the CPF, right? That goes back to one of my old topics, the CPF. And this reminds me of what a reader said before, and he listened to one of my videos on how much money I need and how much cash I'm holding, and how I'm using my CPF as the investment grade bond component of my portfolio, right? And I keep saying that the CPF is the best investment grade bond there is, right? It's in Sing dollar. It's guaranteed 2.5% to 4% per annum coupons. You know, everything of it as coupons, and is backed by AAA Singapore government, right? So if we think of that as the bond component, and for most of us, that's the only bond we'll ever need. That's the only bond we'll ever need. And we have access to the money when we turn 55, right? And of course, there's also a portion of it that becomes an annuity that will provide us with lifelong retirement funding, right, on a monthly basis, right? So I think if people are wondering now, the CPF is and has become a viable option again, especially if the Fed goes through with its plan to reduce interest rate further before the end of the year by another 0.5% and by another 1% in 2025, right? So that will bring interest rate down by a total of 1.5% by the end of 2025. So you can imagine what that would do to yields for Singapore savings bonds and T-bills. And the CPF 2.5% might look quite good again, right? So something to consider, right? Risk-free, volatility-free. And if we are risk-averse and we have full confidence in Singapore's future, I think that is something worth considering. Okay, if AK can talk to himself, so can you. Bye-bye.